Hi, thank you all for joining us today. My name is Stephanie Garami, and I'm the Marketing Communications Manager here at Onboard. I work on all aspects of marketing here at the company and have been working very closely on this webinar series. The purpose of today's webinar is not only to talk about school content, but what content is important for your site and what would make the home buyer's experience more enjoyable. With that in mind, I'm very happy to introduce the presenter of today's webinar, Colleen Staunton, our resident product expert. Colleen has been managing all of Onboard's products and solutions, including our hosted applications, web services, and all our core content for the past 3 years. I'll turn it over to Colleen.
Thanks, Stephanie. Welcome, everybody, to our school content webinar. We just want to discuss, we're going to show you what some of the benefits are, some of the actual enhanced school content is, and then address any questions you might have. Just a little housekeeping. If you have any questions, please hold them to the end, and then we will address those. So let's get started. Here is a brief agenda that we are going to talk about, some statistics from the, excuse me, the NAR profile of home buyers and sellers, which, I think some of the information is pretty obvious. You may have seen some of it, but it's just good to point out. Some of the problems faced by agents, brokers, and MLSs and the benefits of providing enhanced school content. And then go through, again, what this school content is and some of the examples that current clients have done on their site for a number of different reasons. So here we have some statistics from the NAR profile of home buyers and sellers. And I'm going to start off with the first one with respect to married couples. They currently represent 48% of first-time buyers and 68% of repeat buyers. And I think the reason why that statistic is relevant for here is to show that those that are looking for houses, and granted, not all married couples are going to be looking for school information for any number of reasons, but I think it just gives that a large portion of the home buyers are going to be looking for some of this additional information. It tells what type of demographic they are and things like that as well. The percent of buyers that had children under the age of 18, it's 32% and 37% respectively for first-time home buyers and repeat buyers. And again, I think, typically when you have children under the age of 18 in the home, you're going to be considering things that are important to them. If there's playgrounds in the area, is it a younger neighborhood, an older type of neighborhood, or, and the next thing from a parent's perspective is always going to be schools. Where are the schools? But more importantly, how are the schools? Are they good performing schools? Are they, some of those type of figures. The 90% of buyers use the internet in their home search. I think, this is a given. We all, for the most part, go to the internet first. We spend hours and hours looking online for homes and to see, not just what listings are out there, but what type of other information we can find before we reach out to an agent, because we want to have our homework done. We want to make the whole process more efficient, from beginning to end. Almost half find neighborhood information valuable website features. And this is from it was a question asking, what they find valuable website features, and I think the first few were obviously detailed property listing information, photos, things like that are very relevant to the, for the home buyer, specifically to the home. But neighborhood information was just as valuable, and I think we all know why that is. So next, we're just going to talk about some of the before we get into specifically talking about school content, some of the problems faced by agents, brokers, and MLSs. And I think it's important to talk about just to see where they're coming from. Some of this will tie in nicely. But first we have inaccurate info on third-party sites. So this could be specifically with listings data. A lot of times an agent, a broker will see their listing appear on Trulia or Zillow or any third-party site that you can think of, and there might have been a price change that had gone into effect 2-3 days ago, or there was a change because the wrong number of bedrooms was input, and the information isn't displaying it. And we know that a lot of consumers go to these third-party sites, so it's kind of a pain point because if somebody's searching on they must have 3 beds, 3 beds, 2 baths, and the home only shows up as 2 beds, 2 baths, they could lose out on a lot of potential traffic, especially in the first few weeks of the listing. Next, we have third-party sites that are engaging and interactive. A lot of home buyers are going to go to websites where they have tools that are going to keep them on their site. They're going to provide a lot of information, but it's kind of that concept of what's shiny and new that I can play with from a home buyer's perspective on the website. So a lot of times individual agent, broker, and MLS sites don't have that. They may be a lot of reasons why it may be slower to adapt. They don't have the development resources, things like that, but it is key to losing traffic. Increased competition for site visitors from third-party sites. Again, a lot of traffic is going to the Trulias and the Zillows and the different individual portals that, like education.com serves one purpose, and that's providing some school information. But again, it's not going to have what ultimately that home buyer needs. So I need to reach out to this agent that is hosting this listing and things like that. Lack of local data and interactive tools on their sites. So this kind of comes into the second point where, if I can't find it on, Agent X's site, I'm going to go elsewhere. I'm going to look for that information until I'm able to learn more about the area or, specific, maybe even that listing. So it's kind of that loss of traffic to your site, which comes into the last point, the loss of lead capture by linking to external sites. Again, I think a lot of sites will take the approach of, okay, there's a lot of free tools out there, let me go use them, but, they have to link off. It's, it'll say maybe neighborhood information and it provides a URL and it links to a third-party site, and that's great, but that third-party site's goal is to, they just want traffic, they want eyes, their model is ad revenue, which they get by increasing the number of visitors to their site. So it's not really beneficial to the agents or brokers in those cases. Next we have, I apologize, looks like my computer is freezing a little, and we're just going to go to we're going to talk about the benefits of having some of this type of, the problems faced by consumers. So it kind of, matches, some of this will tie into what we talked to about the problems faced by the real estate community. But the next is the problems faced by consumers. So unable to access school information easily. And I think this could be seen in a lot of places. One thing that we've heard some consumers or home buyers, speak to us and say, I want to find out more about the schools in the town that I'm moving to, but I can't find it on one site. I have to go to either the Chamber of Commerce site, or I go to the NCES, which is it's a national site that has the school information on there with regards to enrollment. They can find maybe hard statistics like the enrollment and staffing, but they can't find some of that qualitative information, which is the second point here, the lack of qualitative data on area schools. So it's great that I might know that I am looking at a house a block away from an elementary school, but how is that elementary school compared to others in the district or compared to others across neighboring towns? And I really want to see, okay, what are some of the parents saying about it? How does the school rank relatively speaking to some of the others? So a lot of that data, you can look at hard numbers, but you can't really get a great picture of what the school is. Consumers want to do their own research before contacting an agent. So a lot of times, you go to a listing, and this may be more on even third-party sites, but, it depends. And a listing will say school, elementary school, middle school, whatever for that district, and it says, see agent for details. And, there's obviously a lot of reasons why that, I think agents do that. It's because, you want to make sure that the right school information is getting populated through to the listings feed. But again, I think, the consumers from their point of view want to be able to, okay, well, let me go find out what the school is. And then, once I've gathered all my data, I can speak to the agent about it. Must go to multiple sites for information desired. Again, I think that kind of comes into the first point. And for married couples, the search begins with schools many times. So, I think it's, they're always, when married couples move, it's always going to come back to the school search, and the problem is just magnified the next time that they go and they need to do some searches. So the benefits of providing enhanced school content. Excuse me. I think one of the, I'll start out with an introduction and saying that knowing that school content is one of the most important data sources that you can have on your site, along with some market information and community information, that, these benefits are extremely relevant, but there's more than just, making the consumer happy. But you're going to have increased traffic to broker, agent, and MLS sites. And it's kind of that word-of-mouth effect where if I'm looking for a home and I speak to somebody and they're going to say, hey, you can find what you're looking for by going to this site. It's a lot of great information. Make sure that you do your research before. So the increased traffic obviously is a huge benefit. That's something that the broker and agents and MLS sites all are fighting for, especially with the prevalence of some of these third-party sites. Keeping consumers from having to link off to other sites. And the important thing here to note is that, again, you can have it all on your site, all the qualitative and quantitative information that consumers need without having to go to some of the external sites that consumers will go to find some of this information. You're engaging the consumers on your site. So you're not just, okay, let me show you the listing and, that's the end of it. It's kind of that flow and that, making sure you have the easy access to other stuff on your site, and you're keeping consumers engaged in that respect. The next one is qualitative, not just quantitative. I mean, that kind of speaks for itself, some of the things that we've talked about, that consumers have information about the school that is going to help them make informed decisions. Better SEO with user-generated content. So SEO is always an important concept among those that have websites. They want to show, if I search, Soho schools or Soho real estate, I want to make sure that my listings or my site is going to show at the top of the list. And one thing that's been recognized to help with SEO excuse me, is having some of this user-generated content. And it ranks higher in some of the algorithms, and it's updated more frequently, so it's unique content, and again, that all helps with your SEO. Frequent updates ensure accuracy, again, to the point above. With some of the updates happening as frequently as bi-monthly, you're going to make sure that, you're up to date on the information that other sites are having as well. GreatSchools.net content match to all OBI data. So, and we'll talk about more of this in a second, but Great Schools information is incorporated into all OBI data sets so that you can have an easy integration on your site. Single source for all school content. Again, I think some some companies, if they want to have all this data, they have to go to multiple resources, and that creates issues on its own. So being able to have one source for this data is definitely beneficial. So what are the types of enhanced school content? And, I've kind of touched upon it, but now I want to describe exactly what it is. Typically you'll have your basic school profile. You go to some sites, you have your address, the enrollment, grades, URL, school district, things like that. But there's a lot more, again, okay, that's great, but doesn't tell me anything about it. If you look at some of the information that you can have in enhanced profiles, such as, what's the technology measure, the number of PCs, dollars in expenses per pupil, and I think that can help parents gauge, excuse me, that can help parents gauge, okay, well, what are the schools investing per student? What are some of these figures that kind of help them compare across schools as well? And then, what are all the different type of programs? Now we have the IB, advanced placement, and some of these other programs are important for parents when they consider, high school. Some of them want more competitive high schools. So, again, very important information that, parents, providing it to them up front is going to make it easier on everybody. So the next thing we have is the No Child Left Behind test scores, and those are, collected from the State Department of Education. They're standard across all schools within a state, and it's a good way to compare how schools are performing relative to others. All grades tests are available, and again, you could compare how they're doing on a statewide basis, on a district-wide basis, and things like that, but it gives insight into, the type of school and things like that. The next is grade schools ratings, and, some of you are familiar, there's the gradeschools.net site, and they do a great job of providing, school information, not just on individual schools, but any type of school questions and resources that parents are looking for. They have this type of information out there, and a lot of times, some sites will have this information, but you're ultimately linking off to grade schools, and what the ratings are, for example, is they're based off of the test scores and their individual school performance ratings, which are typically 1 to 10. So it gives a good idea of how schools compare across a state. And again, this can give you a good idea if you're moving into a large district with many elementary schools. You might want to try it and move into an area where your child is going to end up in the best elementary school relative to these ratings. And again, they're based on comparative standardized test scores, so it's not just grade schools saying, okay, we're going to give this school a 10 or we're going to give this school an 8. They're based on the test scores, so from that aspect, it's a good measuring stick. Next, we have school ratings and reviews, and this is the user-generated content that is collected by grade schools and that Onboard collects and processes in-house and provides out with our data. And typically what this is I can go to the site of an individual school listing and leave a school rating, the 1 through 5, but I can also leave a review and say, I think the school is great, and it's typically provided by a parent or guardian or a teacher or a student or former student. So some good information. And this is the user-generated content that I think parents are looking for when they are looking at some schools in the area. So I'm just going to go through some client implementations to show what they've done. They've done it for different reasons, but it's good to see how they have it integrated into their site as well. So here, for example, is our Neighborhood Navigator application, and this is our hosted application, which a number of clients have on their site. And you'll see here, for example, it has the school profile information along with the grade school's ratings. and the review rating. So you can look and see, okay, kind of gives you a rough glance at, if it's a fairly decent performing school or not. But then you can look deeper into some of the school profile information. And then also read some ratings and reviews down here. And again, this is obviously just our implementation version of it, but there are many other options as well. The next is Coach Realtors, who, they do good implementation for SEO purposes. And you'll see here we have East Meadow School information, and they list out the elementary school or the high school and just give a rough overview, but then they provide some of the user-generated content. And again, you could do any number of things here. You could put all the ratings and reviews, allow the user to flip through them. But I think, the overall rating that the parents give here can give kind of a high-level overview of what's going on in the school as well. Trillia is another one. It's a very similar implementation. Maybe a little more. They separate it just a little bit differently. You can see here that they give the school overview, and then they list out all the parent reviews, and you can see, kind of glance quickly in chronological order what's going on here as well. Washington Post. So I'm going to show this implementation. It's kind of that, people are very visual. They like looking at map-based implementations, and they do a good job here. You'll notice that they show all the school listings on a map. All school data is geocoded with Latin long, so this is easy to do as well. And then they list it out down here. But then if you clicked on one of these links, you would get a detailed school profile showing, what some, again, start, end date, enrollment information, and here's some of your test score information again. So again, some pretty good information that as a parent you can kind of search through. So how to benefit from school content. It's additional content for detailed community pages. So as a user, it's great to provide information about what type of people reside in the neighborhood or in the area. But, again, what the obvious next question is going to be, what are the schools like, and then what's the market, what market information can I learn about it? So having it all available for the end user is going to help both the real estate side, the broker, the agent, or the MLS, and the consumer. It encourages interaction with the broker agent, and this is a key point. A lot of times agents, feel like, okay, well, I want you to contact me, so I'm not going to have this information, but I think, the more information you provide, then a consumer can come to you with specific questions. And, as agents are doing, agents and brokers are doing everything they can nowadays. They're fulfilling many roles. This will help in the time it takes from, the lead comes in to the close, and, hopefully help your bottom line as well. It keeps consumers engaged. Again, that's that whole, they want to go through, keep them on their site longer, not just, kind of plop them down on a screen that has, points that don't make sense or things like that. So, it just helps with that aspect. Increases the SEO, we've talked about that. Keeps home buyers from going to external sites to find the content they're looking for. And again, I think this is a huge item. It can't be underestimated. A lot of leads and traffic can be lost by linking to third-party sites because, the chance just goes down that as a home buyer, you might go to a third-party site, you're going to search around some more, you might end up completely off track and ultimately contacting another agent. Website stickiness, again, that's kind of that engagement factor as well. So in summary, we have this great data. We're a preferred partner of great schools, and it's incorporated into a lot of our products and the way we process data as well. So I think, it's good that, you can go to Great School's site, but you can also have some of the information come from us, which is going to benefit, your website strategy and your business strategy as well. A single data source. Every type of school content that you need can come from one source, and this can save development effort and resources, and time and money is key, and that's one of those places where you can improve upon. Again, we talked about some of these SEO and linking off to external sites, but the data is available via bulk or hosted application, depending on your needs and how you are implementing your website strategy. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or answers. You can type them into the box and we'll be able to address those. If you don't have any at this point, I haven't seen any questions come up yet, we'd love to talk about how you might feel about school data if you have this on your site. Any suggestions or recommendations you might have also are good things to address. We do have 2 more webinars coming up if you would like to attend. The next is lifestyle search and listing search, how we can kind of fit those together to improve your website and help improve the experience for home buyers as well. And then the top 5 data points that make a difference. So, what are those data points? What are companies using? And there's a wide range of things that they're using, but I think it's important to make sure that you're having the right data on your site that consumers are looking for. So again, if you have any suggestions or questions about our webinar series in general, you can reach out to our marketing team at the email or phone number, and if not, we look forward to seeing you in